What was supposed to be a night of celebration turned into disaster after 4 friends who were all drunk left the bar in the city without a designated driver. Designate a driver. Don't drink and drive.
This is your news source evening bulletin for today, Thursday, October 17th, 2024. I am Alana Bose with the latest tonight. The government is preparing for a showdown in the High Court with Assistant Police Commissioner Calvin Brutus, who has filed a constitutional motion against the government, the police force, and other agencies, as the probe into allegations of money laundering against him widens. Brutus is challenging being sent on leave to allow for the investigation to take place and is also challenging the investigation itself. In response to the move by the Assistant Commissioner, Vice President Jagdeo this afternoon said that the government has no tolerance for corruption in the police force and plans to respond to the action filed by Mr. Brutus. The Vice President said based on the allegations against Mr. Brutus and the findings of the investigations against him, the court action that he has filed might really not be in his best interest.
We have no interest whatsoever in that. But if you did illegal things, you will face the consequences. And from all that I've read, that a lot of wrong things took place. A lot of illegalities took place. And so we will respond to the constitutional motion in court. And since some charges were made, trust me, our affidavit to respond to those charges may not be beneficial to the particular individual, because we will go into great details about what our findings were in the procurement system. And so when he was heading the administration of the police force.
The Financial Intelligence Unit's submission to the Special Organized Crime Unit of the Guyana Police Force triggered a widespread investigation into alleged money laundering and other financial crimes against the Assistant Commissioner. The Vice President said a corrupt procurement scheme was uncovered in the police force.
The PPP will not tolerate corruption in the police force or anywhere else. And when we find corruption in the police force or anywhere else, there will be no attempt to cover it up. So if you believe that you have a special relationship with the government and that we will, pursuant to that relationship, cover up your misdeeds, you have it wrong. You don't know the PPP.
The Vice President said based on SOCU's recommendations for charges to be filed based on its investigations against the Assistant Commissioner, the notion should be put to rest that the government was trying to sway the investigations in another direction. The Vice President, who appeared upset that the government is being dragged to court by Mr. Brutus, said that he has read with concern that the policeman's wedding was paid for by a businessman. He said government has never sanctioned any policy where businessmen can pay for birthdays and weddings of policemen or other public officials, describing such a practice as reprehensible. In his reported statement to SOCU as part of the investigations, Mr. Brutus reportedly told the investigations that the acting commissioner of police told him not to spend his money or gifts on the wedding, since he, the acting commissioner, will get some of his friends and contacts to cover the expenses. It is reported that more than $8.5 million was received from one businessman to cover the costs of the wedding. Brutus came under the radar after allegedly depositing more than $45 million in cash to one of his bank accounts, claiming that the money had been received as wedding and Christmas gifts. When we return, you'll hear the details of the court action filed by the embattled Assistant Police Commissioner. Stay tuned, more news in a moment.
It all starts with one. Maybe it's one look, you know the one, or one touch, even one word. It can start with one step, or one promise, one thrill, one first time, one deep breath, one leap of faith, one day to remember, or one night to forget. one moment, so many stories that make up one crazy, average, everyday, fabulous life. We get one life, just one. Make your move. It all starts with one.
Your own home is so much more than just 4 walls, floors, and ceilings. It's a lifetime of great memories and stories. Come talk to us and start your journey home today.
Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
The oil and gas industry is helping to transform safety standards across all sectors of Guyana. The government and industry leaders are pioneering safer offshore oil production with new legislation, updated policies, and state-of-the-art floating production, storage, and offloading vessels.
No matter the state of your home, you can make it beautiful for any occasion.
NNS Mattai's Home Goods Warehouse. Simply better living.
I can't wait until tomorrow.
Yes! I ain't start packing yet. Usually I pack a couple hours before and I go. Drive. I got my phone, I got my keys, my charger, my
Procrastinating planning for the future? Well, that's never a good idea. Let Demerara Mutual and Demerara Fire and General help you get started with planning for your future today. I'm with Dem.
Assistant Commissioner of Police Calvin Brutus, who has been under investigation for money laundering and other alleged financial crimes, has turned to the High Court seeking a number of reliefs and declarations and contending that the investigations against him have been tainted and the move by the government and the acting police commissioner to send him on leave was illegal. The application by Brutus was filed on the same day that the Special Organized Crime Unit SOCU announced that it had recommended dozens of charges against the senior policeman and is awaiting advice from the Director of Public Prosecutions. Through his attorneys Earl Daniels, Hubern Alicock, and Dominic Bess, Brutus has filed the court action against the Attorney General, the Acting Police Commissioner, the Police Service Commission, and the Special Organized Crime Unit. The Assistant Police Commissioner wants the High Court to declare that Mr. Hicken acted beyond his powers back in July when he transferred him from the position of Acting Deputy Commissioner Administration. And he contends that there were political directives and improper administrative procedures. Mr. Brutus is also taking on President Ali's cabinet. He told the court that the cabinet acted outside of its mandate when it instructed the acting police commissioner to send him on annual leave due to allegations of involvement in financial crimes. He wants the court to declare the cabinet's decision illegal. Further, Mr. Brutus also wants the court to rule on whether the letter sent to the acting police commissioner by Minister of Home Affairs Robeson Ben to send him on immediate leave was legal. He has also contended that the rules of natural justice were not observed as the allegations against him were vague and he was not given an opportunity to respond. Mr. Brutus, through his attorneys, took a swipe at the current investigations by SOCU against him, noting that the SOCU-led investigation unlawfully and prematurely restrained him. But even more damning, he alleges that the evidence has been manipulated and that there has been an intimidation and the leaking of information to social media. Brutus is also asking the court to declare that the investigation is inherently biased and irreparably tainted due to overwhelming and undue publicity, which has prejudiced public perception and undermined the presumption of innocence, thereby rendering the investigation fundamentally unfair in breach of his constitutional rights. SOCU has launched a wide-ranging investigation against Mr. Brutus, and while the agency said he had found no evidence to charge him in connection with his initial probe related to the Forces Credit Union, a wider probe as a result of additional information received from the Financial Intelligence Unit FIU appears to have cemented SOCU's case, which led to the agency's recommendation of charges. Millions of dollars were unearthed in the policeman's bank account, which he claims represented Christmas and wedding gifts along with personal savings. The Guyana government is eyeing the construction of a deepwater port, a project which President Irfan Ali has said will significantly enhance the country's role as a major transshipment point in the region. Addressing local and international delegates at the International Business Conference, which is currently underway, the president explained that the proposed deepwater port is not just a standalone project, but will be a key component of Guyana's broader vision to integrate with northern Brazil. He explained that by developing a port that can handle larger vessels, Guyana aims to become a central player in regional trade, facilitating the movement of goods between South America and global markets like the Panama Canal.
So understanding this, we have committed ourselves in Guyana to the building of a modern deepwater port facility. And we have strategic partners working on bringing together investors, because this will be at least more than $1 billion investment.
President Ali noted that the deepwater port is expected to significantly reduce the cost of shipping for Guyanese exports, making them more competitive on the global market. It will also lower the cost for imported goods, benefiting consumers and businesses alike. According to the president, given Guyana's strategic geographical location on South America's edge and with its strategic integration with Brazil, combined with the port's capacity to handle significant cargo volumes, the port is expected to make Guyana a major growth hub, increasing its attractiveness as a destination for trade and investment.
Guyana is the eye of if you say the eye of the storm, Guyana is the eye of the opportunity in this ecosystem. So between Guyana and Suriname, if we build this ecosystem out properly, we can create a world-class transport and logistics hub from Guyana, servicing the entire region because of accessibility, capability, competitiveness, and costs.
Further, the president said Guyana is investing and building for 2030 and beyond. He said his government is aware of the enormous gap between where the country is and where it ought to be, but the focus has now shifted to where the world will be in 2030 and beyond.
Adjusting in real time the gap, the digital gap, the technology gap, the infrastructure gap, the human potential gap within the next 5 years, getting to 2030. And 2030 is a very important stock-taking point for the world, whether it comes to energy, our climate targets, renewable, when it comes to food security, all of these things. So there will be a self and collective evaluation at that point.
The International Business Conference has brought together delegates and companies from all across the world looking at investment and other opportunities in Guyana.
The Guyana Elections Commission GCOM is currently conducting a national registration exercise. Who can register? Anyone who will be 14 years or older by December 31st, 2024 and is a Guyanese citizen by birth, descent, naturalization, or is a citizen from a Commonwealth country living in Guyana for 1 year or more. Types of transactions. Anyone eligible for registration is required to visit the registration office responsible for his or her area of residence to apply for registration. Persons who are already registered could apply for a name change if they have changed their names since they were last registered. Apply for corrections if there is incorrect information on their national ID cards. Persons who are desirous of conducting any of the above transactions must provide the relevant supporting documents. Persons who are already registered could request that their photographs be retaken if the quality of the photographs on their ID cards is unacceptable. Collect their new ID cards if they have not done so as yet. This registration exercise will end on November 29, 2024. For further information, please contact GCOM on the following hotline numbers: 225-027729, 226-6557, 223-9650, or visit the GCOM website at www.gcom.org.gy.
Are you ready to elevate your career with a world-class education from the comfort of your home? The University of Excellence Management and Business, UEMB, Guyana's premier accredited and recognized tertiary institution, invites you to join one or more of our comprehensive 145-degree programs. Registration is now open for our next intake on September 9 and every 2 months thereafter. Enroll now and secure a 50% scholarship. Choose from an ABA, BBA, MBA, MPM, EMBA, EMPM, and LLM degrees, available in 14 specializations. Whether you hold an undergraduate degree, a diploma, or relevant professional qualifications, apply. We are an accredited degree-granting tertiary institution in Guyana. Our programs are also equivalent to a USA Regional Accredited degree. Submit your completed application form, proof of entrance qualification, and any form of ID. For more details, visit our administrative office in the Critchlow Labour College, Front Building, Wolford Avenue, or call 225-1395, 225-1397-9, 618-3434, and 681-3434. Progressing to a degree is as easy as ABC with UEMB. Deal with the best and forget the rest.
Your own home is so much more than just four walls, floors, and ceilings. It's a lifetime of great memories and stories. Come talk to us and start your journey home today.
Republic Bank. We're the one for you.
It all starts with one. Maybe it's one look, you know the one, or one touch, even one word. I can start with one step, or one promise, one thrill, one first time, one deep breath, one leap of faith, one day to remember, or one night to forget. One moment, so many stories that make up one crazy, average, everyday, fabulous life. We get one life, just one. Make your move. It all starts with one.
The growing number of deaths in the workplace has triggered another call by the Minister of Labour, Joe Hamilton, for employers, particularly those in the mining and construction sectors, to strictly adhere to occupational safety and health regulations. In a statement this morning, wherever people work, they must be safe and they must be able to return to their families at the end of each day. The Labour Ministry is calling on all employers to prioritize safety and health practices to prevent tragedies. Since the start of October, there have been 3 reported workplace fatalities, according to the Labour Ministry. Those 3 incidents occurred within the span of a week. Last Saturday, a serviceman at a cement company lost his life while servicing one of the company's ready-mix trucks. It is suspected that he was crushed when the truck was moved by one of the drivers, who was unaware that the serviceman was doing inspections under the truck. On Sunday, a security supervisor attached to a mining security company died after losing control of an all-terrain vehicle that he was operating and crashing along the roadway. The 37-year-old man died on the spot. The Ministry of Labour said the third workplace death was recorded today at a Region 8 location where a worker died by drowning. An occupational health and safety officer has since been dispatched to the region to begin the probe. A number of other workplace deaths were recorded earlier this year. The majority of deaths were recorded in construction and mining. With more than 600 Venezuelan migrants now settling in the town of Linden, the town's Mayor Sharma Solomon is once again calling for closer collaboration between the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and local leaders to address the possible burden that the migrants will place in the community. He reminded that Linden is already strained of resources, and while the town has been compassionate in its response to the displaced migrants, it is cognizant of the social and economic challenges that have since arisen.
Linden is compassionate. We have the values of human understanding and dignity. However, we must ensure that our local resources and infrastructure are able to support both our local citizens and those seeking refuge and displaced individuals. This is a significant challenge that requires a collaborative and coordinated effort in line with our international understanding and obligations.
According to the mayor, the leadership of the town and the region is prepared to work with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs through its migrant unit and other government agencies, in addition to local and international organizations, to address the situation in keeping with the country's international obligations. The mayor said currently Linden needs the necessary tools to support the migrants while safeguarding the interest of locals. He stressed a balanced approach is needed.
We understand our obligation where government already have units and committees within the ministry to ensure that these sort of engagements are done. Nevertheless, what we are uncovering is that those agencies and departments were never activated to deal with the issue in Linden, even though we have placed this on record since December. So now those agencies are getting involved again, which allows them to now work with local authorities. And what we have been propagating since December is for government to use the framework that is in those international treaties, such as the International Organization on Migration and any Human Rights Convention. Those frameworks are very clear on how local leaders and local communities can participate in ensuring they promote and support displaced people.
Solomon said when compared to the other towns and regions, Linden was not provided with the necessary resources and information needed to effectively accommodate the migrants. He said too that the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Hugh Todd, was also undiplomatic in his approach to treating with the migrant situation in Linden. While underscoring the need for a balanced approach, the mayor said he is concerned that lands Lindeners were forced off of are now being used by the migrants as squatting settlements. The mayor said tools that could assist with data collection on settlement patterns of the migrants and employment would be able to better guide policies for integration and clearly identify needed resources. The Total Energies Consortium, which includes Qatar Energy and Petronas, is among 4 companies that have accepted the new production sharing agreement. The Ministry of Natural Resources has disclosed while providing an update on the process of awarding 8 of the country's lucrative offshore oil blocks to the 6 successful bidders. The International Group Investment Inc., Cybel Energy Limited, and Delcor Inc. are the other companies that have also accepted the production sharing agreement. According to the Natural Resources Ministry, Cybel Energy Limited, Delcor Inc. and the Total Energies Group are in the final stages of the review process. Meanwhile, ExxonMobil and its partners Hess and CNOOC have not accepted the new PSA and are currently reviewing it. ExxonMobil Guyana President Alistair Rutledge at a recent press conference told reporters that Exxon and its partners were still locked in discussions with the government on the S8 block.
The S8 block, we've continued the discussion with the government on the terms. I don't really want to get into any specifics on that as it's an ongoing discussion. But I would say when we're ready and we've concluded something with the government, we'll let you know. But it's an ongoing discussion.
Exxon has long expressed concern about the non-fiscal terms in the PSA. Meanwhile, the government is still awaiting a response from Cispro Inc., the lone Guyanese company which was awarded 2 blocks on the proposed production sharing agreement. In June, the vice president said some of the bidders had difficulties meeting the criteria set out in the PSA, including the substantial fees, and are in search of new partners. These challenges, he said, have stalled negotiations. Mr. Jagdeo had also stated that if the bidders are unable to meet the criteria set out in the new PSA, the government may very well have to abandon the process. Under the new model PSA, the royalty on all petroleum produced and sold by the contractor has been increased from 2%, as embedded in the Stabroek Block PSA, to 10%. It includes the retention of the 50-50 profit sharing after cost recovery. However, a company would not be able to recover more than 65% of the cost at a time. The government has signaled its intention to host another bid round for its offshore blocks, but with no agreement signed to date from the first auction, it is unclear when the other round will begin.
Mobile fuels are made with our customers in mind. Mobile Synergy Supreme Plus is designed to help you protect your engine so that your vehicle can give you better mileage and better performance. When you choose Mobile Synergy Supreme Plus, you choose a fuel that will help keep your vehicle running at its best. Visit a mobile service station today and fuel up with Mobile Synergy Supreme Plus. Mobile trademarks are owned by ExxonMobil and used under license.
GCOM is currently conducting a national registration exercise. Who can register? Anyone who will be 14 years or older by December 31, 2024 and is a Guyanese citizen by birth, descent, naturalization, or is a citizen from a Commonwealth country living in Guyana for 1 year or more. Where to apply for registration? You are required to visit the registration office that is responsible for the registration of persons in your area of residence to apply for registration. Office hours, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 12 hours, 13 hours to 16 hours 30, and Friday from 8 to 12 hours and 13 to 15 hours 30. The offices will be closed on weekends and holidays. This registration exercise will end on November 29, 2024. For further information, contact the GCOM on 225-027729 or visit the website www.gcom.org.gy.
What was supposed to be a night of celebration turned into disaster after 4 friends who were all drunk left the bar in the city without a designated driver. Designate a driver. Don't drink and drive.
It all starts with one. Maybe it's one look. You know the one. Or one touch. Even one word. I can start with one step. Or one promise. One thrill. One first time. One deep breath. One leap of faith. One day to remember. Or one night to forget. One moment. So many stories that make up one crazy, average, everyday, fabulous life. We get one life. Just one. Make your move. It all starts with one.
Guyana's economy is rapidly transforming, and we're all part of it. Guyana is at the forefront of this development by providing reliable and efficient energy and supporting community development from the very core. 100% of Guyana's profit goes back to building schools, roads, and other important infrastructure that connects our cities and towns, providing fuel to domestic, marine, industrial, and aerial transportation. Guyana has now repositioned itself as a market leader in the petroleum industry, building a better future for all of us.
Across the region tonight in Dominica, Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerritt has blamed truckers who are non-members of the Tipper Truckers Association and operatives of the United Workers' Party for the escalation of Wednesday's protest action in Dominica. Early Wednesday morning, members of the Tipper Truckers Association used their dump trucks and trailer trucks to block the highway leading to Roseau, demanding better rates for their services and more employment opportunities on government projects. Speaking to state-owned DBS Radio last night, Scarrett said he met with members of the association early Wednesday morning. Both parties agreed on a rate and that the roads would be cleared. However, he said truckers who are not members of the association and UWP operatives demanded that the roads remain blocked and protest action continues. After more than 6 weeks of protests over the high cost of living on the French Caribbean island of Martinique, the local prefecture has signed a deal to cut soaring food prices. Jean-Christophe Bouvier, France's prefect in Martinique, said the deal with a number of groups, including importers and distributors, would mean a 20% average cut in prices for 6,000 key imported products. Martinique has been rocked by protests that have left 4 people dead in clashes and shops and businesses set alight or looted. Authorities in the French territory have extended an overnight curfew to next week. However, the deal to cut food prices has been rejected by the group behind the protests. Food costs are about 40% more in Martinique than in mainland France, and the Rally for the Protection of Afro-Caribbean Peoples and Resources is demanding that prices on the island are no higher than the mainland. The organization says the agreement should cover 40,000 products, not just 6,000, and leader Rodrigue Petiot said it should be across the board rather than limited to 54 types of food. And finally, tonight, international news. Israel confirmed Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar, the architect of the October 7 attack on Israel last year, has been killed in Gaza, with Foreign Minister of Israel Katz calling it a victory for the entire free world. There has been no official comment from Hamas, but sources in the group said the indications suggested that Sinwar had been killed during an Israeli operation in the area of Tal el-Sultan in southern Gaza. The Israeli military confirmed in a post on X that Sinwar was dead. His death represents a major boost to the Israeli military and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu after a string of high-profile assassinations of prominent leaders of its enemies in recent months. Earlier, Israeli police examined dental and DNA evidence to determine if Sinwar, Israel's top target, had been killed. The military said earlier it was checking the possibility that Sinwar was among 3 militants killed during an operation in the Gaza Strip. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Alana Bose, wishing you a good night.